Hi folks! In the previous lectures we talked about micro-editing, we discussed grammar, punctuation, wordiness, all those things. Today we'll start talking about macro-editing, which means looking at the big picture. Does the entire article make sense? Does the lead make sense? Are all the questions answered? So let's talk about those things today and here we go. Before you can become a good editor, you should learn what good writing is and the main three things that you should know about good writing. Those are clarity, correctness, and conciseness. So your writing should be clear. The writing that you are editing or your writing should be clear. It should be grammatically and stylistically correct, and it should be to the point. Let's have a look at the clarity checklist. You want your sentences to flow from one to another without abruptly changing topics. We'll discuss several devices that will help you to make your structure flow. Writing should be readable. You don't want to use uncommon or big words, the ones that are going to confuse your readers. This is not academic writing. You want your writing to be clear. Now, as an editor, you will always ask questions. What else your readers might want to know? What questions are not answered? And your role will be to find the answers and obviously the unanswered questions. You'll have to explain all the technical terms. And again, no vague statements, you have to give specific details. All the numbers should be made meaningful to your readers. Which means you still need to state the number of accidents. However, it's much easier to understand the scope of the event if you give an example, if you illustrate. So you want to anticipate your readers' questions. Let's have a look at this lead. Police said Highway 544 is the scene to many traffic accidents. So why don't you stop this video and ask yourself a question. What else would you want to learn from the lead? What this lead is missing? So what about how many accidents? Why so many? What is being done about it? And what part of Highway 544 is the most dangerous one? Now let's talk about specifics. So when you're talking about technical issues or medical issues, you should always explain how something works. So saying that spray deodorant just hastens the greenhouse effect is not enough. You need to explain the mechanics, how it actually works. You never refer to a large unspecified group of people, like saying studies show. What studies? There is one study that came to this particular conclusions, and you should clearly identify which study. Your sentences should not have can't, must, should, or ought in them. You need to remember that a reporter or an editor is there to report on facts, not to give a piece of advice. And again, you don't want to use vague modifiers like the United States is the best country in the world. As I have already said, you want to explain all your numbers. So they should inform and clarify, not confuse. Let's say you're writing about cancer and you say that the number of people who suffer from cancer has increased. So the next sentence should illustrate what you're saying. Now the number of people who die from cancer is equal to the entire population of Ohio. Now, readability checklist. Your paragraph should be 1 or 2 sentences long. Quotation should form a complete sentence, and it should be set into its own paragraph. Again, sentences should be about 16 words long, because if they are longer, they are hard to follow. If they are shorter, they are too abrupt. Your lead should be short and uncomplicated. And again, you don't want to use too many compound sentences. As we mentioned last class in our chapter about wordiness, you should use only words that you absolutely have to. You don't want to use passive voice, right? We all remember what passive voice is. The dog bit me, active voice. I was bitten by a dog, the passive voice. Again, use short, simple, common words, no foreign expressions, and make sure you explain all of your technical terms. And last couple words about correctness. So your writing should be grammatically and stylistically correct. It should be appropriate for your audience. No matter what type of article you're editing, everything should be factually correct and objective. Be neutral, stick to the facts, be fair, and be impersonal in hard news stories.